Sun Wukong, more like Sun Wu confirmed. How the heck are you guys? Sun Wukong officially is confirmed to be our next limited hero. I want to break down in this video how I know, when I think he is coming, because we don't yet have a hard date, and what this means for how you should approach the banner, and what you should be doing with any unpolished soul stones you might be sitting on. There are a lot of implications with knowing he is coming next, and yes, he is coming next, so we got to be really thoughtful. What does this mean for Kigiri? What does this mean for whatever the next new limited is? Because we know there will be a new one around the anniversary. So much to talk about. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So the Monkey Man is next. I had hoped it would be Kigiri, selfishly. However, by it being Wukong, it can help those of us that were pulling for Kigiri. Because maybe if you're like me and you haven't awakened either of these guys, going for Wukong could inform, based on how those pulls go, it could inform what you do if and when Kigiri does come. It is pretty confirmed Kigiri's coming soonish. I'd be shocked if Kigiri's not here within the next 3 months. But frankly, I'd be shocked if Sun Wukong is not here within the next 2 weeks. Let's get into how we know this. There was no official big announcement in-game or on Reddit or on the Discord or on Facebook, but they did say it in pretty clear language on the Discord that Wukong is scheduled. If you do not know how these scheduling conventions for planned content and most importantly planned banners work in Watcher of Realms, they never plan longer, usually than 4 weeks at a time, but the longest I've ever seen is like 6 weeks. So the fact that he is scheduled, we never see more than one limited every, at a minimum, 4 weeks, but typically it's 5, 6, 7 weeks. This means he is for sure next. And I'll actually break down why I am convinced he is within the next 2 weeks, and why, frankly, I am pretty sure he'll be next week. I'll tell you, I am 99.9% sure Sun Wukong is our next limited banner in Watcher of Realms. When it comes to when, I would say I'm 80% sure it's within the next 2 weeks, and I'd say I'm 60% sure it will be next week. But let's get to that in a moment. Let's talk about how we do, in fact, know. I've mentioned the dev Q&As quite a few times in the past on this channel. Very recently, I mentioned it just a couple days ago, and just letting you guys know, they sometimes speak in more declarative language with these questions that they choose to answer and the answers they give than you might expect. A lot of times they do the political, wishy-washy thing where they don't give a very straight answer, and sometimes they really do. And finding the times when they don't give a straight answer and when they do give a straight answer will pretty clearly inform you as to where their head is at and what they are planning. So I want to show you, this is the dev Q&A posted 2 days ago, 9:25 a.m. my time. This was on Tuesday, May 20th, at least where I live. And there's a couple questions that are going to paint a picture for us, right? So let's start with Kigiri. Why do we have to start with Kigiri? That'll make sense. Let's go to question 2 right here. Kigiri limited rerun for anniversary. Kigiri rerun for anniversary. Kigiri banner when? And then here we get our little wishy-washiness. We appreciate your support for the limited heroes. We have plans to reintroduce the limited banners of these heroes. Please stay tuned to in-game notifications or our official social media for a detailed returning schedule. They don't give us anything here. They say, hey, we got plans, maybe, we'll see, stay tuned, right? That's all they're saying about Kigiri. Similarly, if we go to question 17, you'll see over here, Kigiri banner, please. We appreciate your support for the limited heroes. We have plans to reintroduce the limited banners of these heroes. Please stay tuned to in-game notifications or official social media for a detailed ... Same answer, like a totally canned answer. It is nothing, right? When they do not have hard information, they are wishy-washy. They're being kind of vague. Kind of typical. I'm not casting an aspersion here. I think that's their prerogative, I guess. However, when things are scheduled, the tone is pretty frickin' different. So if we go to question 25 over here, you will see focus to rerun banners that are at least related to your latest content. I think it's a no-brainer that you could have gotten more top-ups with that plan. Examples: Fasti, Kigiri, Wukong. The Lizard is a must-have in the latest Abyss and Gear 2 content, Gear 8 contents, yet you miss not rerunning them on time and killing the momentum. Yada, 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 yada. I am starting to lose interest in the game at this point. Why even rerun Crodor? Momentum killed. And here we go, baby. Thanks for your feedback. The event banners for Fasti and Wukong are already being scheduled. They are already on the books. They are in the calendar. We can't see their whole calendar. We can only see a couple days at a time, but they're saying we have put it down in writing. They're scheduled. Like I said, they never plan these schedules really more than 4 weeks at a time. The most would be 6 weeks. There's no shot. They have 2 limited scheduled, so this means Wukong is next. And then they got the same thing. Please refer to in-game notifications or our social media, official social media, for a detailed release time. Now you might be saying, well, they already announced Fasti, and yes, they did. They're doing a 1-day rerun on the Lizard banner, the Flame Scale Invocation of Spirits. We're going to have a 20x drop with a 2x to get legendary heroes as well for Trusk, Fasti, and Salazar. This is a really juicy banner that I'm going to talk about a bit tonight in the final video of the day. Today is a busy day, and then certainly in tomorrow's video. But if you don't have Fasti, this is your best chance, right? So this is pretty major here. But this was scheduled, as they said at the time, and then the next day, this was showing up in the calendar. Now, that doesn't mean I think tomorrow Wukong's going to show up, but I think within a couple days he could. I'll go on to the timing specifics in one more moment, but I just want to speak about declarative language a final time. If we go here to question 14, if you didn't catch my video yesterday evening about the latest update that is coming to Watcher of Realms, you'll see, you can see right there in my head, that new character you might not recognize. That is Karosa. She will be our next limited shard summoning event, so our fusion hero. And we got a pretty clear answer here. And I'm just saying this speaks to more how they choose to answer and the words they select. So can we get another Lego shard event, like a Lego shard summoning event, a Lego fusion? It's been a while since the last one, and that is true, right? The last one was Celine, and that was like October or something. I mean, very long time ago, over half a year ago. We appreciate your support for the Legendary Hero Shard events, the same kind of response, right? But then they go, we have already scheduled related events, and they are expected to be released in June. Please refer to in-game notifications or official social media. Then this was corroborated by the Forerunner update, and behind the scenes, we basically know it is going to be Karosa, right? So they say when it's scheduled, they're telling us. You might have heard me mention Demi a couple days ago. They said Demi update coming in June, Demi rework coming in June. If they have it scheduled, they say it's scheduled, and then they can throw out times. So this means Wukong is next. A final piece of information, maybe you've kept up with some rumors and some of what sneaky leaks on Discord and Reddit. People have been saying, the people that I trust the most when it comes to leaky and rumory information, they've been saying, no, it's not Kigiri. Yes, it's Sung Wukong. I have chosen to believe them, but it's hard to know because I hadn't seen anything. This is the final nail in the Kigiri coffin for him being next. It will be Wukong next. So before I break down the implications of it being Wukong, what this means about the next new limited, and then the other next limited, who very likely will be Kigiri, or certainly Kigiri will come in the next few months, let's talk about what this means for Wukong himself. If you don't know, Wukong is one of the absolute strongest heroes in the game. He ran around Christmas 2024, and it really sucks for everyone that didn't get their hands on him. At A0, he is like just about the strongest A0 unit in the game for single target damage. It's really like him and Numera, and then Twyla like right behind. But, unlike Kigiri, who needs A3 or higher to be a really, really top tier DPS, he's already great at A0. That being said, to pass a Numera or a Twyla once those girls have awakenings, even just an A1 Twyla, Wukong certainly needs a couple of awakenings, and A3 is where he comes alive. So if you've never pulled him before, this will be a 200 summon limited guarantee event, so absolutely make sure you have the 200 summons ready, because I do think this would come as early as next week. Make sure you're sitting on that properly. So we'll talk about Vorn in the final video today, and we'll talk about Sung Wukong, and we'll talk about Fasti, and we'll talk about other hypotheticals. But, gambling for a Vorn when I think it's very possible Sung Wukong could be the limited next week for just the 200 summons, make sure you don't dip too low below that summon threshold, right? If you already have a copy, there's a couple things to consider. How meta is Wukong right now? I would say pretty frickin' meta. Is he super, super, super duper top meta like he was 2 months ago? I'd say no, but I'd say for certain content he is, and he certainly could stay that for certain content that may arrive. I mean, the kit is super strong. Tons of crowd control. The summons create a very unique effect where that counts as an extra ally next to your allies, which is useful in stuff like Abyss. They basically absorb damage. They can block briefly. Very cool. And then, of course, the damage is through the roof. The damage gets stronger and stronger and stronger with awakenings, but there's something I do want to point out. His A1, his A2, I do not consider these relevant in the slightest. This little monkey business effect is cool. It's like fun that it exists, but a lot of times it feels buggy, and very rarely is there any situation where you're like, thank God I had that. There's no way I would have beaten that content without that. Maybe like a single arena battle or something, but that's not enough to put a stone into this. Plus 300 base attack, very cool. You can't really underrate that, but as a unit with already 6,500 essentially base attack, you don't need it. The A3 is where everything starts changing. You get more stuns, you get more sunder, which leads to more ignore defense. You get more damage bursts. I mean, he becomes a much stronger unit. And then the A5, a bunch of other stuff happens. 2x damage on the ultimate, more stacks of Undaunted Might, so bigger damage boosts to bosses, more trigger chances. He just goes off the rails, right? So as you approach this, you definitely have to make that calculation. Before we talk about how to calculate how much to go into him, what to do with your soul stones, what to think about Kigiri, and the final thought about the future limited, why do I think it's going to be next week? Well, let's talk about dates. You can see I have another video pulled up over here. This is the right before the Honora banner launched. This was my Should You Summon. She ended up launching on either April the 17th or April the 18th. I think it was the 17th. And if it was the 17th, it was exactly 5 weeks ago today. Otherwise, it was one day less than 5 weeks ago. So whether it was 34 days ago, 35 days ago, 36 days ago, it has been just about the amount of time it always is between banners. Typically, we get a limited banner every 4 to 6 weeks, and the most typical pacing we get is every 5 or 6 weeks. So this is week 5 since Honora, and we obviously don't have a limited this weekend. I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't next weekend. Like I said, I think it is a 60% chance that as early as Monday, you're going to see a Sung Wukong banner pop up here. So, on our Sunday night, Monday, you should see the rest of the calendar populating, and I do suspect we will get Sung Wukong. We have never gone more than 7 weeks between limited banners before, at least since I've been tracking it. Maybe there was like one singular time a year ago, but certainly in recent memory, we've never gone more than 7 weeks, and 2 weeks from this weekend would be 7 weeks. So that's why I say I'm 80% sure it would be within the next 2 weeks, and 60% sure it would be in the next week already. And at this point, I would be shocked if the next limited is not Wukong. Frankly, the only way it won't be Wukong, based on everything they've told us in the dev insights and then what we know behind the scenes from rumors and the like, is if they're trying to like actively deceive us, which maybe it's possible to, then you get embarrassing videos from me, and certainly you'd be embarrassing a lot of the leaky sources, but I don't think that's their prerogative. And I think they know Kigiri's the bigger hype at this point. I think they want to get Wukong out first. And I know they're planning another limited for the anniversary. So I don't know who it is, but there's not a doubt in my mind that's something they're cooking. So I think Wukong next week or the week after. You can basically count on that. And then next limited being Wukong, it's going to happen. So let's talk about what it being Wukong means. And I'm just going to use my account as an example because I think that is easier. And I'm just talking about limiteds and unpolished soulstones right now. I'm in a weird position, right? I've got Wukong, I've got Kigiri. I've never missed a limited except for Captain Reeve the first time he came around. Fortunately, he came around a second time and I picked him up. But I've never put soulstones into these guys. And obviously they both get far stronger with a lot of soulstones. But you might be saying, yeah, but you need a lot of soulstones. I actually do have 5 unpolished soulstones right now. I've just been waiting for news about the next limited banners so I don't make the wrong choice. Imagine, and I wouldn't have done this, but imagine I put 5 soulstones into Wukong already, and I know some people did, so I apologize. Maybe you have a reset book, but now you can pick up basically a very free, cheap copy for only 200 summons, any mix of rare summons, diamonds, rebate diamonds. You can pick up another copy. That's a free bonus awakening. So if you had put all your soulstones in there, you'd be in a tight spot. But moreover, I do think, A0 Wukong is so much better than A0 Kigiri. The bonus Kigiri gets, the jump Kigiri gets going from A0 to A3 is so much stronger than what Wukong gets from A0 to A3. That's not to say it's not a big jump for Wukong, but Kigiri goes from an average to kind of okay DPS to phenomenal at A3, right? So getting the A3 Kigiri is the first most important thing in my opinion. Then it's the A3 Wukong. Then I think it's the A5 Kigiri. Then it's the A5 Wukong. If you're focused mostly on bosses, I'd rate the A5 Kigiri above the A5 Wukong. If you care about everything, then I think there's a pretty good argument for the A5 Wukong. I'm putting all this out there because if you're sitting on 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 unpolished soulstones, maybe more, you should approach the Wukong banner for sure. Unless you already have an A5 and you don't have a reset book or something, or you don't want to waste a reset book, grab the free copy and then see if you want to push a little farther and get lucky. So the way I'm going to approach this is I'm going to treat it as a guaranteed soulstone for him, essentially, that first copy. So I know I'll have A1 Wukong, and then, you can already do the math. I could bring my Kigiri to A3 or my Wukong to A3. Or what I think likely I'll do, I'll probably pull, after that guarantee for Wukong, I'll pull like 3 more legendary heroes and see if I can't get 1 more copy. Because that, for me, that'd probably be the best, because then I'd have an A2 Wukong off pulls, then you get him to A3 with a Soul Stone, and then personally I'd have 4 Soul Stones left, so I could get Kigiri to A3, and then I'd have 1 left over for the next limited if they really need an A1, just like Diao Chan really needed an A1. I know I'm leaning heavily into my account as an example, but hopefully you can take what I'm saying and apply it to yourself. Definitely just in these next 14 days, don't start throwing unpolished soul stones everywhere, because depending on how your Wukong summons go, that could inform how you choose to use them. You hear I mentioned this hypothetical new limited. More and more it seems the limiteds need awakenings to be at that full special potential. Diao Chan is a top 5 non-lord in the entire game, but with the A1, she's like top 3 or top 2. I mean, it's a whole new level. It unlocks everything for her, right? You could probably even argue maybe she isn't even top 5 without the A1. It's hard to say. But it seems like they're trying to make the top awakenings a little more useful and not hide things away only at A3 and A5, which is basically what they did with Kigiri and Wukong. So I think it's important you stay ready for the next limited. But yeah, I think that kind of speaks to everything. When it comes to that next limited, I think it's pretty reasonable to think the next limited is going to be very strong. Are they going to be as strong as Kigiri or Wukong or Diao Chan? Maybe not, but are they going to be much weaker? I would be shocked. We haven't gotten a new limited since Diao Chan, which was February. At this point, it was Valentine's Day, so over 3 months ago, right? That's building a lot of hype for a new limited, and you can't really imagine they're going to do 2 reruns in a row now. Since Diao Chan, we're getting Anora, and now we're going to get Wukong. There's no way they're going to pull off a stinker. Moreover, if we track back in order the last 4 limiteds, we have Anora, who is just phenomenal now. If you can pick up your merit with so much new content, Anora is just such a queen. You know, one of the absolute best AoE units in the entire game, full stop, no other condition. Then right after Anora, it was Kigiri, who is the king of the game right now. Then it was Wukong, who is the prince of the game and was the king of the game and still does dominate so much content. And then it was Diao Chan, who I think is actually the best of all of this bunch. I think she's the most important of all those 4. So that's the track we're on. We've been trending high and even a little up, I would say, one after another, maybe a couple little blips. But as high as it's been in the game, the next one's going to be big, so you don't want to overextend yourself. So, you know, if you're a big spender or you have a ton saved, maybe you could unload a decent bit into Wukong. You can see I've got 24,000 diamonds here. Did I just get my new diamonds? No, not yet. I have 65,000 more diamonds coming, so I will be at 90,000. I will probably get my Wukong. I'll probably YOLO once on the Vor banner, get my Wukong, and then assess if I want to go for 2 or 3 more chances. But I will stop there because the anniversary is coming, guys. You got to be prepared. But I hope you take this information. I hope you're excited because it's big news, baby. The Monkey King is coming back to Watcher of Realms. A triumphant return for sure. Hopefully they pair his event with him because his event just had an amazing redeem shop and such good rewards. I would think they will. I would think they will. I would hope they do. I think they will. We'll see. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Fastidious. Share with your mother. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
Fastidious.